In a world that is completely obsessed with what's next, have you ever stopped and noticed how much we're all looking backwards? It's kind of wild. From our music to our TV shows, it feels like our collective compass is pointing to yesterday. So today, let's get into why.
All right, first up, let's talk about this instinct to rewind. And I'm telling you, it's way more than just liking old stuff. This is a huge cultural thing that's showing up pretty much everywhere we look.
I mean, seriously, think about it. You're putting on The Office for what, the 10th time? Maybe the 20th? You know every single punchline, every awkward glance Jim gives the camera. You know exactly what's going to happen. So, why do you hit play? Well, it turns out you are definitely not alone.
And this isn't just a hunch. Just look at this list of the most rewatched movies. It's all over the place, right? Spans different decades, different genres. These aren't just movies anymore. They're like rituals. Whether it's the hope you feel from Shawshank or the pure, quotable chaos of The Big Lebowski, we keep coming back to these stories because they've become our cinematic comfort food. And this number shows you just how big this is. A study found that over 70% of adults rewatch at least one movie every single month. So this isn't some niche thing for film nerds. No, this is a massive trend where most of us are actively choosing the familiar over the new.
And this whole rewind instinct has totally spilled over from our Netflix queues into, well, every other part of our lives. We are in the middle of a full-blown Y2K revival. I'm talking low-rise jeans, butterfly clips, pop-punk blasting on the radio. The early 2000s are back with a vengeance, and they're everywhere, from high-fashion runways to marketing campaigns.
Okay, and here is a super fascinating idea that explains so much of this, especially why Gen Z is obsessed with the Y2K era. The word is anemoia. It's that wistful, nostalgic feeling you get for a time you never actually experienced. For them, the early 2000s feels like this simpler, almost mythical time. Pre-9/11, pre-social media algorithms, a world of creative freedom, and they want a piece of that imagined past.
So, we get what we're doing, we're rewatching, we're re-listening, we're reviving, but the big question is, why? What is actually happening inside our brains that makes the past so incredibly appealing? Well, this is where we get into the science of it all.
So for the longest time, people thought nostalgia was basically a sickness, right? This sad, melancholy thing. But modern science sees it completely differently. It's not about being sad that a time is gone. It's this rich, complex emotion that mixes up memory and feeling, and it actually serves a really important psychological purpose.
Okay, so here's how it actually works. Psychologists call it the comfort loop. Step 1, our modern world feels overwhelming, totally unpredictable. Step 2, our brain goes searching for something it knows, so we rewatch that movie or listen to that old album. Step 3, our brain recognizes the pattern, it knows what's coming next, and boom, it rewards us with a little hit of dopamine, that feel-good chemical. And that leads to Step 4. In a chaotic world, we've just created a tiny moment of control. And this quote from neuroscientist Dr. Pamela Rutledge just hits the nail on the head. A neural safety net. That's exactly what it is. Hitting play on a movie you love is basically like telling your brain, hey, it's cool. For the next 2 hours, everything is predictable. Everything is safe.
But this is where it gets really profound, because nostalgia isn't just a defensive move. It's not just about feeling safe. It's actually an offensive strategy our brain uses to build optimism for what's ahead. This number is just incredible. A study during the pandemic found that just the act of reminiscing about the past, thinking about good times, increased people's feelings of hope by almost 40%. It's like by remembering that good things have happened, we convince ourselves that good things can and will happen again. Okay, so we're basically hardwired to love the past. It makes us feel safe, it makes us feel hopeful. So it should come as zero surprise that this deep human need is now a huge, dominant force in the world of business and marketing.
And some really fascinating research from Ipsos points to this paradox in how we're all spending our money today. On the one hand, you've got the carpe diem spender, the person who's all about living for the moment, revenge spending. But then you have this powerful countercurrent, the heritage haven seeker, who craves brands that feel stable, established, and just safe.
And this image right here, it perfectly illustrates that heritage haven idea. A timeless, beautifully made watch isn't just a thing you wear. In a world that feels like it's changing way too fast, that watch is an anchor. It stands for quality that lasts, a story that doesn't change. Brands like this are winning because they're not just selling a product, they're selling reassurance.
And the numbers, they absolutely back this up. A staggering 77% of people around the world say they're more likely to trust a new product if it comes from a brand they already know and recognize. Think about that. We want new stuff, sure, but we want it wrapped in a familiar package. That gives those old heritage brands a massive advantage.
So how are brands actually using all this? Well, they've basically got a playbook now. They use those bold Y2K-style visuals to make you stop scrolling on your phone. They do limited edition throwback product drops to get everyone hyped up. And maybe most cleverly, they tap into powerful emotional triggers, like the taste of a snack you haven't had since you were a kid.
Taco Bell's recent campaign is the perfect example of this. Yeah, they brought back old menu items, which was cool. But the masterstroke? Using that Sum 41 song in the commercial. For an entire generation, that sound instantly transported them back in time. It wasn't just background music, it was a time machine disguised as a marketing tactic.
So, where does all this leave us? We've seen that our love for the past is this really powerful psychological instinct, and it's literally reshaping our culture and our economy. So, let's pull it all together.
Look, if there is one thing you take away from all of this, let it be this. Looking backwards isn't a sign that we're stuck. Not at all. It's actually an adaptive strategy. We are using memories of a more stable past as the psychological toolkit we need to build a more hopeful future. So let's just quickly recap the big ideas. First, we use the past to create that neural safety net when the world feels chaotic. Second, this very human need is a massive driver of our culture and what we buy. And finally, and this is the most important part, nostalgia is a forward-looking emotion. It gives us the fuel we need to face tomorrow.
Which leaves us with one last question to chew on. If our past really is the blueprint for our future, if it's shaping our hopes and our choices, what kind of tomorrow are we actually building with all these pieces of yesterday?